Hi, good afternoon. In this Glasshouse Poetry Festival from around the world, we have all the leading poets, including Booker Prize winners, poet laureates, Padma Shri Award winners, and so many others who have come together in support of COVID victims. This festival was conceived by Art Mantram Trust in support of all the artists and performers who have been in extreme distress and trauma. I would like to introduce Anthony Tao, a poet who lived in the US but born in Beijing, along with Leanne Halton, who is a classical guitarist from South Africa. Their experimental music with poetry has evolved and is fast gaining popularity, which has created Poetry X Music. In India, we have a similar tradition of individualistic marriage of poetry with percussion and string instruments, especially in Sufi poems. Here, the poet recites the poems floating on music and sometimes dives in creating magic. Here is Anthony Tao from the album Here to Stay.
I'm Anthony Tao. I'm a poet and one half of Poetry X Music. Poetry X Music is a collaboration between myself and Leanne Halton, who is a classically trained musician you'll hear from shortly. She plays many instruments, but it's the classical guitar that is her specialty, and the instrument which she commands masterfully. You'll see soon how she makes it sound like multiple instruments, as if she's playing multiple parts simultaneously. It's really quite something. I'd like to thank Alina Abraham for inviting Leanne and I to share our work with you here today. Everything you're about to hear is original, so my original poems and Leanne's original compositions on the classical guitar. I'll take you through this. Let's just begin, shall we? Very nice. I'm Anthony Tao. This is Leanne Halton. We are going to perform our album called Here to Stay, which was made during this COVID-19 period. Okay, so that last one was called New Normal, and this here is In the Streets. It's sort of takes place, it's sort of set in Wuhan right after it was locked down in late January. Viruses had first and last names until there were too many to count. We grafted masks onto their faces. By that point, what did names matter? locked them in boxes, sealed within larger boxes, built in 10 days. But still, they leaked out into the streets, bumping randomly into people who could not see. "Watch for them," we whispered, but to us they all looked the same. We practiced saying plague, a fun word, not knowing the other ways we are doomed. We stalked the side alleys with deja vu, feeling we'd done this before, back in another lifetime, spying on neighbors, reporting family, misery enforced as baseline. In a way, we are all the same disease. To survive, humans, you have to give up humanity. So says the tyrant within. Our lungs cracked like sheet ice. Breath whistled through our veins like steam. We searched for sickness, but there was only sharpness. Like guilt. Alright, so this is Poetry X Music. Next one is called In the Bedroom, inspired by a mutual friend of ours named Moss, who told me the story of him and his neighbors and a third set of neighbors becoming way too intimately familiar with one another during the period when none of them could go anywhere else except stay in their little Houghton alley apartment.
Ready?
The virus watched, nose pressed against the window, but the lovers didn't notice. They rolled like bonobos, shaking the bed. We heard through our walls, which means they could hear us too, shaking in ways animals can, forgetting, forgiving, our limbs, our organs, all the ways our rococo parts can thrash, can work toward climax, can spoil Phallos of all the worlds where we exist, our vigor omnidirectional. On the other side, our other neighbor pounded on the wall. Damn him, we thought. Could he not take it up with the virus out there? Of course, we knew we were being unfair. The virus was here to stay. We could sense it even now, lonely virus, shivering in the cold, eyes alit upon the ecstasy unfolding. Time and everything stopped. Its breath fogging up our window, trying to leave a reminder. Its mouth curled in an O, shouting, ooh la la. Bravo. All right.
Do you want to stay here for this one?
Yeah, I'll stay.
Okay.
This next one is all Leanne. It's called Solo. This next one is called In the Air, written in February when we were all social distancing and wearing masks. But occasionally, you would go out on the streets and you would see someone else, and you would be amazed that there'd be someone else outside, and there would be this urge to close that distance. And this is kind of what this next one is about. In the Air. Masks. Wearing them, we were more aware of the other. Our eyes locked more often, for longer, searching for provocation, gauging interest down to conjunctiva. We experimented with sounds, soughing and snuffling, and remembered the lessons our cats and dogs had taught. Ears back, head tilted. We were polite to those we did not care for, widening our expressions, softening our brows to say we understand the feeling. But occasionally, next to a body we leaned toward, we grimaced with yearning, with agony and despair that we could not rip off these masks and laugh at our poor nerves aflutter. Our gazes settled on cloud shadowed and withy, old tiles on rooftops, and dragon wings rippling the pale blue. We saw the ways we merge with the world, with the air, taking into our lungs the trees, the purslane in pavement, the rewards for being who we are. Magic, we said to ourselves, forgetting what we were afraid of. So this next one, I guess we'll just do the next two back to back. In Our Once, and then In the Heart. And In the Heart is very much set in a near future when the virus is quote unquote gone. We smiled through face masks, said hello with our brows, held open doors to remind each other we were still here. We nodded knowingly on our grocery runs, greeted the sky is nice, the air clean. We were surrounded by kindness that made us forget our grief. We found decency that made us forget the rest. hearts itched for reason. Our minds wanted for touch. Whatever else we craved of insurrection or truth, whatever small bonuses we desired for ourselves, or ailments we nursed, of anger or temperatures. We did it indoors. We pulled our curtains and waited till the kettle screeched. Then said exactly what we had always wanted. We stopped saying hello. We infected with caprice, infected those we love with doubt, those we dislike with conviction, with memories of the gone, which is an exacting affliction. Afflicted as we are with the same disease, with misunderstanding, with truth blasted out like a sneeze, with borders we could now see, with suspicion and blame we no longer kept to ourselves. The virus was gone. In those early days, we replaced it with energy and humor. Then, with our sense of what is righteous, trying to infect others. A triumph for our country, the news trumpeted, while we questioned if we deserved it. We leaned away from bodies, stopped holding doors. We dragged our feet on office carpets, burdened by familiar deaths. We looked mockingly on those still masked, forgetting the ways we are infectious. We walked the streets like sorrowful ghosts, and with 2 fingers rubbed our chests. What is it that was missing?
Thank you very much for watching our poetry and music collaboration. Those were tracks off our album Here to Stay, and you can find us on social media as Poetry X Music. And thank you for watching, and see you soon.
Excellent.
I have
Okay.
one more piece.